Due to a few technical hiccups, this week's episode will be audio only. Enjoy.
Mike McDonell, the new guest.
Yes.
Also a longtime friend. Coming back with Josh,
What up,
my good buddy.
What?
We're 1 year. We're 1 year from the time that you were here on the first time.
The first episode of
Literally, the first one we filmed was pretty much exactly a year ago.
I'm blowing your mind right now, guys. Audience, I'm wearing the same shirt and the same haircut.
But different circumstances.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So back where we left off last time, and Mike will talk about our friendship in a bit.
Okay.
But just to go back to our last conversation, there was a lot of the last time we talked was I don't know if lost is the right word that there was a feeling of when we talked.
Yeah, like I didn't know what was gonna happen.
Yeah, but there was uncertainty, I think, is the better word.
Yeah.
For what was
A little bit of hopelessness, but mostly
Yeah.
almost like unknowingly scared of what's gonna happen in the future.
Right. And we go a year in the future now, and a couple things have changed.
Big things, huge things.
You moved out. You are out of your parents' house now, right?
Yes, my mom. So I'm at my mom's house.
That's a big step forward.
Yep. But was living there for over about. I never lived by myself. I was living at that particular house for about 10 years.
So how are we doing 1 year since? Because you moved almost pretty close to right after that, right?
Yes. Yeah. Cool. Like 4 or 3 months later. Yeah.
Right. Pretty close.
It
after.
kind of made me think about it a little bit, because that was in the summer we did it.
Yeah.
It was like fall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
And then I remember I got in a argument with somebody, a family member.
Yeah.
And I was really sad and down. And I texted this guy over here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like feeling really down about it. And he said, "Why don't you come move with me?"
Oh, yeah, I mean, the move-in with me has been something talked about for years.
A long
Oh,
time.
really?
Yeah.
For
It was in
years.
discussion for a while.
And then, certain things just kind of clicked with Josh, being like, this needs to happen.
Yeah.
It's time, yeah.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason too is like I was really a little nervous. I didn't want to be living in the house anymore because it's just kind of like it's just bad memories from my past in there, like we talked about last time.
Another thing that was a concern before was just that what we talked about last time was your relationship with your brother and your relationship with your mom was kind of slowly degrading, right?
A little bit. It wasn't completely degrading, but it was like I was getting moody because I didn't want to deal with kind of like I had to be. I'll be honest, it was kind of toxic a little bit because I didn't really get along too much.
Right.
So I just, no offense to them, but I didn't want to really listen to that.
It's not that they're. I want to highlight that saying you had you were having a rough experience doesn't mean that they're bad people.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It just wasn't working out for you. It wasn't the best thing for you.
The situation, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And so then you guys were talking about it for how long? You said years now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. It was a while, yeah.
Was there like a thing that you're like, yeah, this is it? Like, was there a moment where you're thinking this is kind of the last straw?
Yes. There was a moment where the first one was when I broke my leg because I kind of got it was a big fight with him, one of my family members. I'm not gonna say who.
Right.
So that was the first one, and that was around the time when I was exercising with you.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucked. I kind of put a wrench in that for
Right.
a while. Then we would keep working out and all this stuff. So I kind of that was like a big thing for me.
Sure.
Big sad moment because I was like, I was working out, I was losing weight, and now I broke my leg. But then the second straw was when I got in a fight with somebody, one of my family members too, and we were almost about to throw hands. And I said, you know what? I'm done. I didn't mean anything negative by it. I was just like, I'm not going to deal with this anymore.
Right.
I'm done. I got to get out of here. And I thought to myself, I'm like, this is the opportunity for me to build a better future for myself and to, become a new person.
That was a big step.
Yeah, it was.
That was a big step because
I feel like I have improved a lot since I've been gone because, Mike's seen it in me. I mean, sure, I have my moments of depression, so like everybody does, anger.
Yeah.
But it's not nearly as bad as it used to be.
That was the next question I was going to ask you is
Oh, I think for once in my life, I kind of feel like I understand why people like me. It's a big thing to say right there, I know.
What do you mean by that?
Before, even when the podcast, but even before that, I never really understood why people like me. Like, I literally did not. I thought I was just a terrible person. I thought I was lucky. Like, I thought I was just like, oh, people like Josh just because he's like, has Asperger's or autism. Just because it's like, they feel bad for him. And I think I realized recently that I'm actually kind of a decent person. And I'm pretty fun to be around.
You're a great person.
Nice, man.
You have a lot of great qualities.
In fact, when we were in the car, I was thinking about something, and I go, we were like talking about the plans for the day, and I just stopped him really fast, and Mike goes, "You know what, Josh? You think about stuff. You're pretty good at thinking about things in an efficient manner." Is that what you said?
Yep.
Can I ask, Mike,
Yeah.
what that conversation was like for you? Was it like a no-brainer for you
The moving
Maybe,
thing.
like,
about moving Josh in?
Oh, move the actual move. Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I've always, even before Josh, I was by myself supporting like one roommate after another, trying to help them out and all that. And it was kind of just a no-brainer. Like, yeah, Josh is my best friend. Of course, I can support him and help him, like whatever he's going through. And I know, like something discussed is like this isn't like a permanent thing. Like,
No.
moving in with me and like just kind of living with me. It's a mutual thing where it's like I'm gonna help him, learn all the qualities that you need to like, get out there and do, be on your own.
Yeah.
And Josh is gonna, at some point down the line.
Yep. And if you maybe you know how long it takes, I want to get my own place.
Oh yeah.
That's probably the healthiest thing I've heard Josh have in his life is that, like,
Oh yeah.
the idea of I'm going to help you, but hey, the idea is that eventually you can get up on your own.
Oh yeah. I'm really lucky to have him as my best friend. My best friends.
Now, just to Mike, just to give you a little bit of a background, or to give people the background about you a little bit.
Yeah.
You and I have known each other for just about as long as I've known you, Josh, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
What was it? Middle school, right?
Yep.
There's a lot of things that I remember about you, and the truth is I didn't really know you that well until pretty recently. And I think that's been the case for like a lot of people that I've talked to, especially on like the podcast. Yeah. But one of the things that I remember about you is like the sense of humor, like similar friends that we have. Like our friend groups kind of just meshed together, and it was just like a natural fit whenever we were hanging out. And then you kind of went away for a while.
Yeah.
What can you fill me in on that gap? Because there was a gap where, like, I don't know if you moved to like.
Yeah, for a little bit, I moved to out to Indiana, like right next to Gary.
Right. And how long were you there for?
Like a year and a half, and then from there, my the lease on that place ended, and I had to move out, but I didn't have anywhere to move out to. Because my other friend Jake, I previously lived with him just to get out of my house.
Yeah,
that was an easy transition, and now he lived out in Wisconsin.
right.
And I was like, oh, I don't know, like me moving to Illinois to Wisconsin, that's a big leap.
Yeah,
But it's something I had to do, and I didn't really know how much of a culture shock it really was.
Was it? What specifically?
Specifically, going from like a rural, like very, like busy town, like like the whole Tinley Park area. Like,
Sure.
I'm used to that stuff.
Yep.
But then I go to literal like backwoods. Like I think I'm pretty sure I lived in like a shack. is where I moved into.
Really?
And that was 10 minutes away from a Dollar General. And then that was 30 minutes from the nearest Walmart.
Okay.
So living in a place where there was literal coyotes like right across the street.
So you moved in like by yourself or?
No, it was with Drake.
Okay.
He invited me to come over and help him out with rent and all that, and it was quite a big thing, and took a little bit to kind of figure out where I was as far as like my life and financial stuff.
How? Because see, like the thing is when you moved away, like we kind of lost contact completely, and where you kind of came back into my life specifically, and kind of around the same time you and Josh were planning to move in together, was like I was going through a pretty rough time too, right? And you and I, that's where I got to know more about you, and I was pretty surprised, to be honest. Okay. Like I was caught off guard by you having like a more like a what's the right word? Like a
composed.
Yeah, but like like when you're lost, like a navigator, like a when you're lost and you ask for directions, like you stop and then the person points you like, yeah, it's down that way or whatever, right? Okay. It was kind of like that was the feeling I got when I talked to you.
Okay.
You were like, "Hey, how are you doing?" Right? Like just checking in just cuz at the time I was uploading stuff about how to deal with post breakups and how to deal with at the time I was getting tested for ADHD cuz I was like maybe there's something there to that cuz my sister got diagnosed with ADHD. So I'm like, I've never been very good at school, so maybe I'll go and get that tested. And so I was doing videos about that. That was before this was all together. So when I talked to you, I guess you had seen a couple of those videos and you were like, "Hey,
yeah,
how you doing?" It was just like something like that. I'm like, "Yeah, not that great," and we had like a long chat, but I was surprised because I had never seen that side of you when we were talking, like when we were growing up, and we were kids, right? That side, nobody really talks about stuff like that when you're kids, right? Like you don't have those. Maybe you don't even have the maturity to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, it's mostly just like jokes and stuff. And
do you know what I learned in my life? Something about that. The whole topic of maturity and like, finding yourself, somewhere in your life is a lot of it really does depend on the type of people that you talk to, you meet.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of people that I've met throughout my life, I definitely would not be the same person if I never met them. No matter how small of an impact that they make, it matters.
Yeah, I don't think I ever got a chance to like say thank you. Maybe I did, but I don't know if I formally was like, "Hey, this really helped," or gave you feedback. But it was very like it was grounding is the right word for that.
Okay. Yeah.
Of like things were kind of a chaos. Like at the time, like things were all over the place. I had no idea what was next because I'm like, where am I going to move? Because like when you live with somebody that you're dating and then you're not with them anymore, you have to figure a lot of stuff out.
Yeah.
Like, where am I going to go? What am I going to do next? Who like
am I gonna live with?
And at the time too, like I didn't want to be like at the place I was working at anymore. Like it got to a point where I was like, this isn't healthy. So everything kind of collapsed at once. Yeah. So like when I talked to you, I was trying to just find like my northern star, right? Like
something to grab
onto. And I was just so caught off guard in a good way of like, you just kind of popped in and you were like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, and like, I was like, all right, I don't know where this is going to go, but I'll just tell you what's going on and see what happens.
Yeah.
And what I appreciated about that conversation was that it wasn't like you weren't there to tell me what I could have done better. Like you weren't there to tell me that, hey, like do this or do that. You were just kind of like, yeah, that's rough. That. And a lot of times that's kind of what people need is just to
I completely agree.
It's like someone just to hear you out and be like, I don't need you to solve my world's problems, which is something that I've had to work on. Is like when people come to me instinctively, like I want to try to help them figure it out. But that wasn't your approach. Your approach was very like, yeah, that's really hard. I've had something like that happen, or this is what I experienced, and and we shared experiences, right? So that was really sobering to have the hey, like I'm here. I don't know how I can help you, but I'm here, right? Yeah. And there was a lot of confidence in that in you of like, I don't have like the answer for you, but I'm listening, right?
Yeah. And everyone needs that. Everyone needs someone to listen to them.
Yes. So for everybody watching, right? Like that's something that was you showed up at a pretty important time.
I have a similar situation where like if I come to Mike, he's not looking to like, help me solve my problems in a good way. He's just very respectful and understanding in a very like interesting way where I don't maybe man people like Mike where he's just kind of like off top, kind of like this is how it is, but it's okay that it's that way. It's not like you're a bad person.
Yeah, and that's the one thing kind of living with Josh now. It's one of those things where I'm there to give you that push when you need it. Yeah. I'm also there as support mainly. Like I'm there to fall back on, but I want you to and just like anyone I'm helping out, want them to figure it out on their own, because that's what they need. I can't solve their problems. It's them that has the answer.
That's exactly right. That's how I see it. Now I have a question for you. How did that come to be? When I think about it, there has to be something. Everybody experiences something that gives you some sort of feeling of this is what I need to do. What was that for you where it's like, hey, I want to help. I want to be there to support my friends. Was there like a moment where you're like, hey, I experienced not having it because that was certainly a push for me, but what was that for you?
I think the driving point for that is there was this guy I knew, and he's not around anymore, and maybe I'll get to talk about him more, but he had a really big impact on me. That one guy I said I moved in with, Jake, me and him had a bit of a falling out. I moved into my own place after his, but he helped. That one guy I worked with, his name is Brian. He helped me kind of figure out what my friends meant to me, and it's a little weird because this guy pretty much came in like a complete stranger to my life. Someone completely unknown, and he had just such compassion about him. And he had such concern for like, my life and, even Jake's life, and seeing that and, kind of coming into grips of, what the people around me meant. That really helped me kind of figure out, that kind of thing.
Yeah. There's always, for me, there was a moment. I use the military a lot because there was a lot of people like that. That was the reason for me too, that I was like, I hope to be half as a good human as you. And I would think that that's what you're referring to, is like, there's always that one person that you're like, the way that person made me feel, I hope I can replicate that in other people. Do I have that about right?
Yeah.
That's how, that was my experience as well with a handful of people. So just to get a little bit more on with Josh, how has it been so far since you guys have moved in?
I really like it. I kind of really like it. I mean, obviously we have our moments, you know, like anybody who lives together, you know, the first time they're getting used to each other, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But honestly, it's like way better. And I don't mean any offense to anybody,
No.
but like, I don't have any like worry about like the roof, like any of the house problems you're having with the roof coming down, or the leaks or the bills, water getting turned off. I don't have to worry about arguments or disagreements really that much. We have our disagreements, but it's not like, you know, it's different. Like we disagree, and then like 10 minutes later, we're like, "Yeah, I love you, dude."
I see you more relaxed.
I am more relaxed because it's okay.
I don't see. Last time we talked, I saw you almost distraught.
Yeah, that's a better way for it. Yeah, I know what to do.
Like man, something has to give. I could see the stress.
Well, I'll be honest. I didn't see before. I didn't see the light. Literally, I had to be like weird like that, but I didn't see anything.
Why? Yeah, I remember our conversation.
Yeah, I didn't see like what was gonna happen next. I was just worried I was gonna be stuck in the darkness forever.
Yeah,
but honestly, he kind of saved me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, like, and you guys did too. But you know, our podcast did too, and he definitely saved me. Mike did, because honestly, if he didn't offer, I'd still be stuck in the situation I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm grateful for him.
Mm-hmm. And everyone deserves that opportunity to go off and live their best life.
I'll say that it
Because
takes.
sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah,
but I feel like now that I'm living in a different state, I got a fresh start. It's all in my hands now. I feel like I can live up to the success of my own self.
Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Speaking of success and like building a life for yourself, you reached out and you were applying to different jobs now, and
Yeah.
you're on a job hunt, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
What is your goal there? What do you want to do? Do you have you set your eyes on something?
Right now, I'm looking for like really any job, but I do want to go to school.
Okay.
And I definitely want to go to school for something related to. For a while, it was going to be culinary, but I don't think I'm going to do that. Now, I want to do something where I can help somebody.
Okay.
Like straight up. I don't know what it could be. I'm not 100% sure yet.
You don't have to be.
No. I just want to help somebody. Help anybody. Because I want to use my experiences that I developed.
Yeah.
And people know I want to do this because some people, for a while, it was a creative writing, or like game related. But honestly, I want to use my experiences that I developed, kind of like we're doing now. Or all the experience I have in my life, I want to use it to help somebody. Help them get through the struggles they've been through. Maybe it's psychology, maybe it's not.
No, it can be. There's a lot of things that can be done for whether you want to help people. You can be a spokesperson. You can be
Motivational speaker. Yeah.
Like you have a lot of experience to fall back on that you can talk to people about. So really, just think about like envision yourself of where you would see yourself. Do you see yourself standing in front of a group of people who maybe are battling with, having issues with autism, having trouble adjusting?
I mean, honestly, a year ago, I would not have said that I could do that. But not saying I'm completely 100% confident yet. I still have ways to go.
Yeah.
But everybody does, It's not never like 100%. But I could see myself doing that a little bit. Now that I think about it, because, I'm pretty good when it comes to speaking. Like I'm not like, I'm always willing to try new things.
Yeah, I definitely think that Josh is still in that phase of still kind of figuring out.
Yeah, definitely.
Where he is in his life, and what kind of stuff he wants to do moving forward.
Definitely. I think the better point right now, the better like how much I've changed, is I'm not as, what do you call it, stressed out.
No, yeah.
No, I mean, I'm still stressed about money and all that stuff. Everybody is,
Yeah.
That's how it is. But other than that, I worry about like medical issues, stuff like that, but I'm not worried about if I'm going to wake up and the power's going to be out, or the water.
The basics.
Yeah, the basic stuff,
Yeah.
exactly. Or I'm not worried about, what's going to happen to, if I get in another fight with my family,
Yeah.
Not worried about having the nightmares of being in my house by drunk grandma, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That stuff, you don't realize how impactful that is. Like having arguments all the time, worrying about, what's this person going to say to me today?
Yeah.
Like there's a big impact mentally and emotionally that has on you.
Oh yeah.
That you don't realize until you leave. And sometimes, like for me, when I left my parents' house, I realized that like I was still kind of living subconsciously in the cage of like, I don't want to be too loud because I don't want to upset anybody.
I felt it the same way.
Yeah.
I remember when I first moved in, I was a little nervous about doing my thing, listening to music because I didn't want to offend Mike.
Right.
And he was like, dude, do what the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Like, for a while, I was like, I kept asking, can I have a girl over? And be like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
No, I started saying fuck.
Yeah, no, you're okay.
You know what I mean? He's like, I don't give a shit if you have fucking two girls.
Yeah.
No.
I was like, okay. So, yeah, it's nice to feel like I have the freedom now to do whatever the hell I want. Obviously, within reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
that was kind of one thing that I was a little worried about. When I started talking like that to him, I was like, wait, am I like giving him too much freedom? Is this like something I need to worry about?
So what's well, it is like kind of a joke, but also like at the same time, how did you manage? What are the lines for you?
So I was like, what you can do in the apartment, or
like just
it's like what the landlord wants,
where do you draw like a line? Do you think like, hey, you can do whatever you want, or hey, actually there are rules?
I think like really the main thing I worry about is kind of just keeping everything like somewhat organized and like keeping your area like tidy.
I'm working on that.
It is pretty much like the main thing.
Yeah.
For me.
Okay.
As long as you can keep clean up after yourself, like I genuinely don't see any problems.
I've gotten a lot better. When we first moved in, it was a little hard because I wasn't used to that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But now I think I've gotten a lot better. What do you think? Think so?
I think so. I mean, I've told him before. I've told Josh before that I know a lot of the issues that he has, and I expect like a lot of the stuff that he feels bad about doing. He'll have like maybe outbursts or like he'll do something that he doesn't like doing, and I told him like I totally expect that kind of behavior because I know you.
Yeah,
it's something that I came into this like living with you knowing.
Right.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, it's not that I get mad at Mike or anybody really when I get like upset like that. It's more just I'm not used to any of that stuff, so I get mad at myself. So I'm like, I gotta do the dishes or I gotta do this. Can I really do that? It's like second guessing yourself.
Yeah.
But I've definitely gotten a lot better because nowadays when I gotta do stuff like that, I just kind of just do it. I'm just like, yeah, whatever.
Right. Now, Mike, how have things gotten easier? Because I know at first it was a little bit. There's some challenges, I'm sure. Has it gotten easier, or do you think there are still things that you guys are working out?
I mean, yeah, it's gotten easier. I think the main like hurdle is kind of just getting used to how each other lives, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But I mean, yeah, of course that stuff gets easier, and generally everything is becoming more and more hands off.
Yeah,
really, a lot of it. I know a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about. Now that's coming to spring and summertime, we can actually finally do like getting out of the house. Going
Definitely,
to see more music stuff that is just in the community.
right.
You definitely started to a little bit, right?
Yeah. We've been visiting some shows recently, but those should be a lot more popular as with the nice weather.
That
Right.
was the plan. The plan was like, I'll live with you. I'm gonna make you like work. You know what I mean? Like Matt Watch is a job, but and I agree with him. I want to lose a lot of weight. I want to
Right.
cover my lifestyle. It's like I got to. I can't live like I used to.
Yeah.
forever.
One thing I kind of keep telling Josh over and over again, which is something that he kind of has to
I agree.
figure out
I know this
his
guy.
own like meaning to it is like confidence.
Yeah.
That's like the one thing I keep pushing on to him is like, he'll ask me questions on like, how do I do this, or how would you do this, or something like that. It's like, well, like step one is like, gotta have that confidence in yourself, and it's something that I explained to you earlier. It's not something that you can like, tell people and like show people how you do it. Something that they have the answers, and you can just help them along with it.
There's a thing. There's like a what's the word? Not being afraid to ask dumb questions. Not being afraid to stumble, because the truth is, if you stumble enough in front of people, like you're just gonna get used to it. Like you're just gonna be like, for me, well, not get used to it, but you'll know how to bounce back from it. Where like it's not the end of the world feeling, Because one thing that, and again, this was the military for me that did this, because I was a very timid person before the military. I was very easily embarrassed, I guess is the right way to put it. And I kept getting put in positions where I had to stumble in front of people. Like I had to present in front of people who I'd never seen before. Yeah. I had to basically do a whole rundown of my job to people who were asking me like, hey, what's going on with this thing? And I had to do a whole presentation at 19 years old to people who had been in the military for 20 plus years. So it's like you had to stumble and look dumb.
Yeah.
Many of times. And then you realize like they're just humans too. like at the end of the day, like those people who are watching you and like you stumble over, let's say you're talking in front of a group of people, for example, what we just talked about, where, maybe one day you'll be in front of an audience of people and you'll be talking about your experience, like with autism, or your experience with depression, or your experience with whatever you're talking about. And you have a whole audience of people watching you. You'll realize that like you'll just stumble over things and it'll just be whatever at what point. Like you'll just be like, oh, well, there goes that thing. And then you'll just move on, right? Like, it'll happen so many times that it's just like it doesn't have the same traumatizing effect as it does the first time.
Yeah.
Is it still a little embarrassing? Yeah. Like embarrassment doesn't go away. You just get better at dealing with it. Like I still feel embarrassed at times. Like if I stumble and there's a group of people that I don't know very well watching me, of course. But at the end of the day, they're just humans, and I remind myself of that, and that helps me. So maybe that's what I'm getting at is when you're talking to a group of people or you're doing something that you're not comfortable with, like period, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
I'm a human, and so are they.
It's okay to make mistakes.
Like that's at the end of the day, like, oh, well, now I learned, right? Like now I know it's not that thing.
I think I'm slowly starting to realize that, because honestly, for a long time, I was just like, I didn't really understand that. I don't know why. I just like went over my head. I'm like, if I make mistakes, that means the end of it. I'm a bad person. That's why I fought for a long time.
That's what anxiety does to you.
Yeah, it's just like
oh God, like these people are gonna hate me. They're gonna think I'm dumb. They're gonna like never talk to me again.
Well, that's why like sometimes with like Mike or Dave or anybody we talk to, if I do something that's weird, I'm always like I beat myself up with. That's why my confidence is so bad. It's getting better, but you know what I mean. It's like that's why it's so low, because
one of the things that me and Josh have been working on too is something along those lines of kind of it's not that he's bad at something, it's just he's new to it.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
That's a lot of things. Is like people are just not good at stuff that they're not used to doing.
Yep.
That really helps him when he tells me that, because I remember when we were like, was it pulling a chair or something? Yeah. Or like a lot of things, and I'm like, I'm so stupid. I suck. And he's like, no, you're not. You never did it before.
Yeah.
That is a really great way to put it. You're not. What did you say? You're not
Stupid.
bad at it. You're not bad at it. You're just new to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write. We got to write that one down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's good.
trust
dude.
We got to write that one down.
That's
My
a good
Facebook
one.
page is full of those quotes.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It helps me. Like, I'll be like mad because I don't know how to do something, and he'd be like, dude, it's okay. You're not like bad at it. You're just, you don't know how to do it.
Yeah,
It's simple as that.
that's good. Probably like the number one thing about that is the people who want to be around you anyway
We'll be around me.
will be around you whether you stumble a billion times or just once in a while.
or get in fights, whatever it could be. Right.
Because think about this, like if people are willing to not speak to you because like you stumbled and it looked funky, like do you want those people around you?
They're not your friends.
Like if that's enough, like if think about that, if that's enough for them to not want to speak to you anymore, that you did something that was for you more embarrassing than it would have been that it is for them.
No.
Do you want them around?
I
Like
agree.
that's another question.
It doesn't even have to stop there. It's like anything that you do purely because you're the kind of person to do that thing. If someone's not willing to accept that part of you, like, then it was never gonna work anyway. Like they were never willing to accept you.
Yeah,
I agree
That's a
completely.
fact.
I think a lot of times too, like I'll be honest. Sometimes I used to take my friends and family for granted a little bit. Not like in a way where I don't like love them. It's more like, oh, I have no friends. And I think recently I probably realized I have a lot of friends.
You have a lot of friends.
I do have a lot of friends,
And the thing is, like
and all of them are very nice people and awesome people.
the crazy part, I'll tell you this. When I didn't realize how isolated I had become from my friends, like how removed
Me too, yeah,
I
I
had
was like
become
that for a
from my
while, too.
friends, and I didn't realize how many friends I actually had until I stepped back in. You know what I mean? Like when
Same here.
I started to work on myself and I started to figure out that a lot of what I was feeling was, yes, it was from things that had happened, but they had become worse from my interpretation of them, of what does that mean about me, right? Like, because when you experience really difficult things, for example, like breakups or family divorces or
Family fights,
even
or
with
whatever.
friends, fights with friends, right? And there are friend breakups too, right? So when you experience stuff like that, there's the residual feeling of like I'm not good enough. Like there's like a back voice that says like they don't want to be friends with me because I'm not good enough. And maybe you interpret that as they're bad people because they don't want to be friends with me. But why would that make you angry unless there was a feeling of rejection, right? Like unless there was like a feeling of betrayal. And with betrayal, I think rejection is linked to, where it's like if you feel betrayed by somebody, you also feel it's likely that you feel rejected, right? Like
I guess.
Wow, you are hitting my soul right now. You know why? Because I do it all the time with girls and people in general. It's period in general. If they reject me, I actually get really angry at myself, and I get really angry at the situation. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I
Now
just get angry. I'm like, oh,
I will
they
make
hate me.
I will make a point that I'm not necessarily saying that
Oh, it's
that's
right.
the case. That's the case every time.
No,
right?
not at all. No.
But a lot of times it does correlate. And so when you think about all that stuff compiling, your mind makes it so much worse after that situation, because it's like, well, now I'm afraid. Like now I'm afraid to make more friends or to go back out again or to speak to family members again, because rejection sucks. Like it's a terrible feeling. It I don't know that it gets easier. I think you just get better at it.
You deal with it better.
Dealing with it.
Yeah.
But until you can heal and build up your self-worth, because that's where everything stems from. Like the pain will stem from not having the self-worth. If you have self-worth, you can withstand a lot of things in life. Yeah. If you value your worthiness, like if somebody goes, hey, I don't want to talk to you anymore, we're not friends anymore, but you have that self-worth of like, I'm a pretty decent person. I'm a pretty likable person, right? I'm pretty reasonable. Like I'm flawed, but I'm capable of realizing my mistakes. And someone says, I still don't want to be friends with you anymore because you don't want to do A, B, C. Well, you're welcome to, you can go, right? Like, I'm not going to stop you. I wish you the best. I hope you do well in life, but I'll be okay too, right? Like, that's the...
Get well soon, honey.
Yes, that.
Have fun.
So, like, if you have that self-worth, you're a stone. Like, you can get through just about the worst life can throw at you.
I think that's probably why I think I'm like realizing too, like you know how, like when you're like you know what the problem is, it's like the first step.
Yep.
I feel like I know why when I was younger because I had plenty of experiences where you would be a girl or a guy, whatever my friends were, or a girl I liked, and they'd be like, "I won't be your friend anymore" for no reason, and I get really angry and kind of just like get mad at them, or I just like shut down. I realized that I could have been different in that situation, but I think I couldn't because I was so emotionally immature because I had, autism. And like, that's not the only thing. I was just emotionally immature, period. It could have been, it's probably worse because I had autism and Asperger's.
Probably.
But I feel like I was just emotionally immature at the time. Because I got more mature emotionally very slowly in my life. It took me a while to get like emotionally. I'm still immature in some ways,
I think maturity also is it also depends too on like when you do experience those things, the being able to talk yourself down from them because the feeling doesn't go away.
No,
it's not like people who are good at it, people who are stones, let's say, people who have good self-worth. It's not like they don't feel those things. It's not like they stop feeling what humans feel, right? Like rejection and anger and sadness. Yeah. Like they still feel all those things. It's just that they're really good at talking themselves through it. Of like, this is what I'm feeling and this is what it means. Like it's not about me. I'm a pretty decent person, right?
I feel like most people would call me a stone.
Yeah.
So like,
I
definitely relate to some of the stuff you're talking about.
Well, that's the thing is, that's why I guess that's another reason why I was caught off guard because, and that's just me not knowing you well enough.
Yeah. Is
that like it's hard to find people who like you could throw like a lot of emotional baggage at. It could just be like, yeah, that's rough. Like, like there's a lot of people that would be like, hey, I can't handle all this, right? Like, or hey, it sounds like you need therapy, like. That'd be very easy to say.
You don't know how frustrating it is seeing like people talking to each other like that, and then they're a recipient of all that emotional baggage, just like super chummy or like super deflective on that, instead of kind of like facing them and being like, I know what you're going through. Here's a similar experience that I've had. And then kind of just walking them through, that sort of emotional experience.
And reaching back to maturity, right? Emotion. That's what I would consider emotional maturity. Is I don't know everything. I can't. I'm not going to solve what you're specifically going through. I'm just going to hear what you have to say, and if I have something I can offer you, I will. If I don't, I'll let you know that, right? Like. I think there's like fear from people who like listen to emotional baggage to be fair. Like it's not like I think they're bad people. Like they're just people who go, hey, I can't handle this.
The fear of the unknown.
It's perhaps that, but a fear of like
rubbing off on them too.
Rubbing off on them. Like,
a
feeling of maybe like, ooh,
it's going to affect my life with negativity.
Like it may be like, oh, this person is not good to have around because then it makes me think about my own stuff, right? Like it's subconscious, I think, a lot of times, but there's like a fear that takes over people sometimes, and then it's like, ooh, I can't handle this. So, hey, and what I am really against is when there's shaming involved, where it's like you're trauma dumping, and it's like I get that. it's
the shaming does go way, way farther than just
Yeah.
oh, you're sure.
yeah, like there's a lot of things involved.
I had one thing where I was talking to this one, I'll just say girl,
Uh-huh.
and I was telling her how I was feeling. We were talking for a while.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Yeah, you're just trying to get her attention. You're just trauma." She really said trauma dumping.
Yeah.
You're just trying to get my attention. You're
Yeah.
just trying to seek attention. And you're a whiny little bitch.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you know what? I don't want to listen to that.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm good.
Well, that's
I didn't block her. I just said, I'm good.
yeah.
Have a nice life.
That's the thing is like there's something to that of I'm not saying it's okay. It's never okay to talk to somebody like that. But those people are like they're afraid or there's something there.
There's something. I agree with you completely. She obviously has something that reminded her of something in her past, and she did not want to deal with it. And I was like, she kind of shook herself into me. So I was like, you know what? You stay with me.
I think that's the best thing. The best thing you can do in those situations is just like, hey, sorry if that bugged you. I'm walking away. Like I'll leave you alone.
Yeah,
Right?
I was actually surprised I act that way. 'Cause usually I'd be like, if I get angry, or I'd get really sad.
Yeah.
But that one, I knew I kind of didn't want to deal with that. I was like, yeah, I'm good.
Well, ties back to self-worth, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, if you want to be in my life, like obviously I have my own problems and I'll do my best to deal with them. But, also I think the important part about if someone's going to be in your life, like they're going to have to deal with every part of you. Like if that comes with you, then you have every right to say, hey, I don't think this is for me, but there's a way to do it. There's a way to be respectful about it and be like, hey, I don't think this is for me or whatever. And I hope you do well.
I mean, I think one of the things I've realized too is I'm not completely like 100% with this yet. I feel like I'm getting better. Where I feel like I don't want to settle for just any person.
Well, no, you should. Ideally,
Like
you
should neither.
I think the important part is finding, and this is my challenge,
Yeah.
is finding worth in being on my own, right?
Yeah.
Like
Same here. That's my challenge as well. I can relate to that.
in that, like I'm cool either way. That's the point I want to get to. I think I'm getting close to it.
Yeah.
I think I'm on my way, but nobody's perfect, right?
Yeah.
There was a long while where I was trying to still figure out, what I saw in myself versus what I want to see in, a significant other.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of, finding the right one for you is knowing your self-worth. Because,
Yeah.
what do you want them to see in you?
Yeah.
That's a lot of determining a relationship is like, do you want them to see you as some sad, pitiful person, or do you want them to see like, your true colors, what kind of stuff that shines about you?
Mm-hmm. I think the part too is realizing that like your partner, like I don't want my partner to be my problem solver either. Right.
Yeah.
Like I also want to be at a point where we talked about this in therapy a little bit, which was like the savior complex, like if you get into a relationship where you're saving each other, right? Like, I need you type relationship.
Yeah.
That's where you can get into some deep water, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not healthy it's codependency, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, and it's not our fault that we get into those things. I think like
It's a very, very common mindset. Like it's even like a meme online where it's like, I can fix her, or I can fix
exactly. But like a lot of times our parents are like that. Like those are the relationships our parents are in, right? Yeah. Like at least for my situation, I realized that was the reason why I think that's love is because that's what I saw, right? Yeah. Like in the relationships of my parents is the feeling of, oh, they're broken and I can fix them. And that's not what a healthy relationship is about. Healthy relationship is you have your stuff, I have my stuff, and we're going to work on it individually, but then be like you mentioned, right? Like if you need like a shoulder to cry on, if like you need something to fall back on, like I'm here for you, but I'm not going to fix it, right? Yeah. Like that's the healthy way to look at it, is I can't fix it for you because I have my own things. I'm an individual too. Like I have my own things to manage and I'm going to manage them. But at the same time, like if you need to hear, I'll hear you out. I'll listen to what you have to say. I'll be there to support you. I'm not going to fix it for you. Yeah. There's a difference. And that's the line between healthy and not healthy. The unhealthy part is where it's like, I'm going to fix everything for you and then sacrifice my own well-being.
It's a dependency.
It's a dependency. And I heard a recent word, and I don't know it super well, but I heard there's a healthy line to that of there's interdependence, where it's like what I just mentioned, where I'm an independent person and I can handle my own stuff, but sometimes I'll bring something to you and get your opinion on it. Like, hey, what do you think about this? Like, I'm having a hard time with this. Like,
I mean, plenty of relationships out there. I know I've seen myself that have some amount of like interdependency to them. Like it's not an unhealthy thing to be like that.
Yeah.
I think the unhealthy part of a relationship like that comes into where it's like an overload, I suppose.
That's codependent. It goes from interdependence to codependence. It's like I need you for everything, like that type of thing.
Yeah, and everyone has their own level of like what they can handle.
Sure, that's true. Yep. There's that factor of like you have to know that person well, and the communication has to be well enough for them to establish the line. That's where self-worth comes in. When you don't have self-worth, your line keeps coming back and back and back, and you're willing to let people walk more and more and more, and they'll take more and more space, right? And so if you can't draw the line and say, hey, this is as much as I can handle, and so like this is where we cannot cross. And if you can't stand at that line firmly, I think that's where codependency can become an issue, right?
I think a lot of times, I only had one relationship in my past, honestly. I'll be honest. I've been single for a while now. But the first one I had was very much like that, where I was like, she thought I was saving her for her demons, when I kind of needed to be saved too. It was one of those things where I was like, oh, I need you too.
Right.
And she did not care. She wanted me only to help her. So I would hang out with you, my friends, like Mike and stuff, and she'd get mad at me. She'd be like, I want you all myself. Yeah. And, and I think I realize now that had more of an effect on me than I thought it did. Yeah. You know what I mean? Where, like, I kind of thought, like, for a long time, I thought, like, no one wanted me. Yeah. Like, any girl wanted a relationship at all. I realized that it was more like I didn't put myself out there enough because I was afraid that it would happen again.
Yeah. Well, there's the fear factor we were talking about.
It took me a while to realize that. But I realized that pretty recently because I was thinking about when I was going on talking to this one girl. And I was like, I kept worrying myself. I kept having this, like, second guessing myself. Yeah. And I was like, this probably has to do with like that past girlfriend. Yeah. Her name was Haley, by the way. But yeah.
Well, that's an important step. Yeah. Of like realizing, maybe this had something to do with it, because that's like opening the door. Yeah. To healing.
I'm pretty good like that.
It's asking questions about like, why did that happen? Like that's why I'm here. That's why we're talking. Yeah. That's why we're having this conversation. It's because there's the why. Like, why did that happen?
I'm not to my own horn, but I think I'm pretty good at like realizing stuff. It's the next step I struggle with. Yeah. Like taking action.
It's hard, man.
It is hard.
That's probably the most difficult step.
It sucks.
Is the first step is figuring out that something isn't right.
Yeah.
And the next step is figuring out where to go. Like, how do I solve this? Like, how do I begin to resolve this issue? That's the hardest part, because reaching out for help is the scariest thing for a lot of people. Is like the feeling of, I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be looked at as like I'm crazy.
A weird guy,
right?
Weird person.
Like I'm off. Like people are going to think I'm strange. Like they're going to not want to talk to me now even more. So there's a balance in that. Yeah. So I think the first step is to live in a place where you are safe. That's like the most important part, where it's like I am safe from judgment.
And I'm kind of moving towards that right now.
What's that?
Definitely there right now.
Well, good, right? That's the first step.
I feel like I kind of am.
Is establish a place where I don't feel judged. Because if you're somewhere safe where you can feel like you're not judged, well then now you can start to safely unpack things of like, because like the stuff that we hold is valuable. Like the pain that we hold is valuable. When we entrust somebody with, hey, this is my story, like it's valuable, right? Like if somebody like goes, yeah, whatever, and like tosses it or walks away after knowing all that stuff about you, like there is a feeling of like, I don't want to be vulnerable anymore, right? So the first step is to healing, so that where you can build that self-confidence where you won't need to be somewhere like you'll draw the line yourself when you're feeling like, hey, I'm feeling judged. Like you'll be like, nah, I don't deserve that, right? And then you'll draw the line and be like, hey, like this is what I need. If I can't receive that from you, that's okay. Like, but I'm gonna walk away. Like that's what I need, right?
Yeah,
so,
I agree. Yeah.
So I think the first step is just being somewhere where you can safely unpack things and start to like analyze them and go, hey, what went on here? And then I think that's been my thing with my roommate, right? Like I don't feel like I'm judged. I don't feel like we're sitting here and like worrying about what does this person think about me? Because that's something I had to deal with a lot too. It's like when you talk about your family, right? Like you're with your brother and your mom. I'm sure with your brother you felt judged
all the time,
right? Yeah. So it's not a safe.
My mom, not really.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah, I got along with my mom. It was fun, but some people in my family,
right. So there was a feeling of like not being able to unpack anything. So you just stay the same. That's how. What's the word? Generational trauma continues. Is that like you meet somebody who you don't feel safe enough to open up with, so you just stay the same, right? You keep tight your walls and you don't let anybody in. Yeah. And so you shut down or whatever you do to cope. Yeah. And then that continues and you pass that on to your children.
Well, that's what I felt like. I feel like when I bring someone's attention to a certain somebody, they'd be like, well, I have problems too. And that's not what I want to hear.
It's minimizing.
Yep.
Just so you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I know the term for that was. But that's why I felt like I was like, okay, so why? That's what I'm telling you.
Right. And so, but another important piece about that is having self-worth. You choose who you trust that information to.
Yes.
So like if you tell anybody and everybody like your business, like people aren't gonna.
I do it all the time.
Right. Like there's a thing of like of a lack of respect of you, right? Like you should be able to entrust. If you're gonna tell somebody your story, like that's valuable.
Yeah. That's
not for everybody.
Yeah, no.
Right? And self-worth makes you realize that.
I'm realizing it now. And one of the big points is you got to realize it a little bit too. Right, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah. But not just him, though. You know, everybody did. You know?
Yeah, I mean, self-worth is a very broad topic and one I bring up pretty often to Josh here. And, you know, the lessons can be learned everywhere.
Yeah.
Really. Like, what do you, like, for a relationship, you know, seeing the self-worth in that, what do you want to see out of yourself? Maybe even going to, maybe even how you present yourself in public.
Right.
You know, what type of self-worth do you take from, like, your interactions there?
Yep. And just to kind of tighten things up, we are running short on time.
Yeah.
Where do you guys see yourselves in the future? Like, what's your goal with this relationship?
Goal?
You mentioned it a little bit earlier, Mike, but eventually, where do you see Josh?
Where do I see Josh? I can see Josh, you know, running his own thing for sure. He has a mindset of being able to organize things very well. As far as myself goes, I'm not exactly sure where I see myself going. I do know that I want to be that kind of person that is there helping out a larger group. You know, something bigger than I am. I want to be a part of something like that.
Okay. And Josh?
I really appreciate the mic. Thank you. Love you, dude. And, yeah, I can see myself definitely, like, for once, being somewhere like that, like, is important to me. Running something that's important to me. That's all I'll say. I don't know what it could be.
That's okay.
I don't know yet. Well, I'm not sure yet what it will be, but I could see myself doing something pretty important. And I want to do that. I don't want to just be working at McDonald's. You know what I mean? That's why I don't.
There's nothing wrong with starting there.
There's nothing that's wrong with that.
Yeah. Or if you want to make that a career.
You know what I mean, though?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not that. There's nothing wrong with it. For me personally, I do want to work somewhere, start somewhere small.
Yeah.
But eventually I do want to accomplish something that one of my dreams, which is to do work, to actually love my work. That's my dream. Honestly. My dream in life is to enjoy life and to be somewhere safe and comfortable while I do my own hobbies and to be surrounded by people I love.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
That's something I want.
Yeah.
I don't care about no fancy jobs. No. I just want to be happy. And to be happy is being surrounded by people I love, having my hobbies, video games, movies, anime, music, and finding other things to do. It's like that, new hobbies, and new horizons.
I hope the best for you guys. I know
I
that
forgot to say, I respect Mike too.
Oh yeah.
I forgot to do that. I see Mike. Honestly, I can see Mike doing a lot of things. He's very smart. He's a very intelligent person, and I can totally see him. He's a very analytical mind. He's very detail oriented.
Right.
So I can see him being a leader of a big company or any I'm serious. He's very smart.
I wouldn't be surprised. So we'll leave it with that.
Yep.
I know this isn't the last time we're going to talk. There's plenty of time in the future to talk for sure. And Mike will likely have you on individually and kind of get to know you a little bit better. I think that's one thing I owe you. So we'll leave it with that.